Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's wonderful that you could join me. I have a lovely guest with me today, as we are branching out, as I've said, and I'd like to speak to Megan. Hello, Megan. How are you doing?
I'm good. I am immediately going to tell you that my name is pronounced Megan. It's Australian.
I'm very sorry. I have a niece, you see, the same name, and her name is Megan.
I get it all the time.
Megan, I would imagine. So I must apologise for that. Megan.
That's okay. happy to have a chat. I'm very excited to sort of just ask you 1,000 questions, probably.
That's absolutely fact. You'll probably find that I'll ask you quite a few as well, because I'm incredibly interested in the subject. I just don't have a great knowledge of it. I've spent so much time doing the Bigfoot and the creatures and the cryptids that I've kind of narrowed down my focus. But I promised myself a long time ago that if the evidence, shall we say it like that, led me in a different direction, that I would follow my gut, and I would probably follow that. And that, for the past 18 months, it has very much changed for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very, very much. And I know most people think I only go down the flesh and blood route, and I believe that it is a hominid. But I have witnesses to creatures that also include crafts, lights, missing time, abductions, very, very similar stories. As I say, missing time. Some of them wake up in areas where they originally were not. And I want to be able to help them as well. Yeah. And I thought the best way to do that would be to start communicating with people in the know. And obviously we can help each other as we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you could tell everybody what your speciality is.
Certainly. So my name is Megan Deverson, and I'm just coming up to 2 years ago. I created a podcast. Growing up, I was so fascinated by cryptozoology. Also very interested. Anything mysterious, anything weird, anything outside of the norm. But cryptozoology, I've always had a love of animals, just like normal animals. And the idea that there's animals out there that people have overlooked, or people have just considered a fake because they sound a bit weird. Yeah. There are so many bizarre normal animals that some of these cryptozoological creatures could possibly be real. I mean, they should not be discounted. So 2 years ago, I thought I should do something about it. I love research. I'm very good at research. And I thought, why instead of sitting at like 4 a.m. on my computer absorbing knowledge, why not put that knowledge out there? Why not share with people? I would say I'm a little bit gullible, a bit more of a believer. I'm quick to believe, but I'm also open-minded. I'm happy to not just ignore evidence if it's, contradicts something. But I also have a very good friend who I've known for 10 plus years named Paddy Gidney, who I talked to 2 years ago and said, would you mind doing a podcast with me? He is very logical, very polar opposite to me, sort of. Yeah. Very super smart. He's gonna love I said all this lovely things about him. Hopefully he doesn't listen. Super smart, very, very logical, can look at things in a way that I cannot look at things sometimes. And I thought, well, let's get together. Let's talk about one cryptid a week or an episode, and I will dig into everything I can find on that cryptid. I'll go as deep into the deep, dark depths of the internet.
Down the rabbit hole.
I will get books. I will talk to people. I will do anything I can and to find, and what is that cryptid about? Is it real? Here's the evidence, and I'll talk to him about it. Yeah. So usually the episodes of the podcast are about an hour long. Sometimes I need to break them over 2 episodes. For example, we did a 2-part Yowie special, which is the Australian Bigfoot. I'm sure you know of it. And by the end, we kind of look at how do we feel about it? Is it real? Is it fake? Usually I come in more hot on it's real. He's usually more it's fake, but he's open-minded as well. He's not just belligerent and won't listen to evidence laid out in front of him. So it's actually a very balanced podcast. We've had great feedback. Overall, we target more lesser known cryptids, like, because obviously you've got the Bigfoots or Jersey Devils in America. But I mean, if you want to learn about those guys, there's so much out there. Like, there's there's not a lacking of information out there.
No, there isn't, is there? No, there isn't.
But there's so many, so intriguing, very plausible cryptids out there that people know nothing about. And that's always been fascinating to me. So orang pendek is an easy one, the small Sumatran ape, which I absolutely believe is out there. But for example, there's a big cat called the Shentuxian in Ecuador, which I'm not sure if you've heard of.
No, that's a new one for me.
It's basically like a jaguar kind of creature, but it's all black with a rainbow on its chest. And the Ecuadorian natives have seen it a couple of times, and they're like, it's a real animal. It's just there. But because Western scientists haven't seen it, it's not considered a real animal. So just things like that. It's just super fascinating. And then coupled again with my love of animals, my love of nature, at any opportunity, I will get out there. I will go looking. Also a photographer on the side since I was very young, just as a hobby. So I've got very good equipment.
And I will
and I will take my zoom lens and I will go into the bush. So I've done a couple of expeditions. I try and turn them into videos to share what I find. It takes a lot of work, so I'm kind of slow on those. I've done a lot of expeditions, but I need to actually
getting them up. And I get it.
Absolutely.
There is so much information out there. You have to you can't cherry pick because that would be wrong, but you do have to go through it. You have to absorb it like a sponge, don't you?
Yes.
And that, I think we're coming from a very similar background. For me, it's more about the questions than it is the actual uploading of the video. I'll be honest with you, you'll probably find as the years come on, you might not get an answer to your questions. I've got more questions now than I had in the beginning, but you will find that something works for you, and that's what happens for most people. For me, I was only 15 when it happened to me, and it's incredibly impossible what happened to me because I live in England, so there aren't any cryptids in England at all, other than the Loch Ness monsters, you say. And I'm coming from it from that angle of just trying to find out what I saw that day. How could it actually have been possible?
Right.
Luckily, I wasn't on my own, so it can't have been a hypnosis. It can't have been something that happened because we were there together. We were both there together. And over the years, whenever I've questioned myself, because you still do question yourself, I go back to that and I think, no, because we still have the conversation now. I'm still in touch with her. We still speak. And it just leaves you with this need of answers of what could it possibly have been. And the Yowie, there is more for me. There is more, I would say, I believe more in the Yowie than I probably would have done in the British Bigfoot if I wasn't a witness to it. Because your country has been, you've had hominids all the way back down the line. So if you work the way into hominids, it could be a very early native, that kind of thing. And and they're mentioned in the native stories, aren't they? In their Aboriginal stories. Yeah. A little bit like England with the woodwolves and the green man and things like that. So when people come forward and they say, "Oh, I saw a Bigfoot in Washington State," or "I saw one in the Blue Mountain Range, in Australia," it's very believable because of the advance of space. On honesty, and the lack of human habitation within the interior parts.
Absolutely.
Lots and lots of my friends are Australian, and they believe in the Yowie too, and they are witnesses to the Yowie. So I'm not a scientist. I take those stories, and like you, I put them out there online, and that undoubtedly brings another witness with it, or another account with it worldwide. In every single country in the world, there is a historical tale of a hairy man, whether he be a giant or very small. Japan, Hawaii, the islands, everywhere you go, they have this story. Where did that story start from? What is the nugget that made us start to pass it down? As me and you are doing now, chatting, we're just story selling, and that's what our ancestors did around the fire. It must have been important to them that it's lasted so long in both of our cultures. Through this. So to me, I'm delighted because you'll find most people looking into the subject are probably about my age and older. And that's great. That's great. But you want new opinion. And you don't mind if someone says, well, I don't believe that. I actually believe this. And then I'll say, well, teach me. Teach
Yeah.
me, like you teach me everything you know, because my answer might lie within that.
Absolutely.
You know? So just don't cross anything else. So, I mean, I got to be honest, I got to support you 100% for what you're doing. You're very brave.
Thank you.
You know? And it's not easy being a lady in the cryptozoology world, is it?
Yes.
It's not. So you'll probably find that you'll be opening doors throughout the years as you go. You'll be kicking down a few as well, you know. But you do that. That's what you need to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, fantastic. I didn't actually know that you had a sighting. Is that how this all began for you?
Yeah, that's how it I had no knowledge of it. Never didn't know what a cryptid was, never heard of one. Right. I live in a very small town in Manchester, which is a mill town. There was a pit, there was the docks, there wasn't a whole lot else going on, in all honesty. So it was impossible. It should not have happened. It should not happen. I was not in the wilds of the countryside. I was within a town, on the edge of the town. So this thing should not have seen it. I was skipping school with my friend. I was about 15. 1982 it was.
Wow.
Nice day. I think it was probably around May or June, because the weather was nice, but it wasn't too hot. And we didn't want to go in school. So we didn't go in school. We went to a country park. And there used to be like what we called it the Ivy Den back then. It was like old rhododendrons and laurel leaves and things like that. And it had all been left to, nobody had bothered with it for about 30 years. There was an old mansion there. And we sneaked into the Ivy Den and we were in there and we were just giggling like girls do, you know, talking about boys. And I think we had a cig, and I caught something out of the corner of my eye in the greenery and I thought it was a teacher. And I thought, oh, you know, here goes. Busted. Yeah, busted. Or like a lad or a boy, one of my friends, I thought it was going to go, wah. And then I got angry and, you know, and like, why have you done that kind of thing? And it wasn't. It was this thing, I don't know how to describe it. It looked like a cross between a man and an ape, as if they'd been pushed together. I only saw him from about here up, so I didn't see anybody or anything. He leant out of the greenery. Very similar to us, very big jaw muscles, similar eyes, not as much white in them. Very similar teeth, no canines, nothing like that, nothing scary. It didn't grab me or anything. It just looked at me as I looked at you. And I'll be honest, I was so terrified. I pushed my friend to the ground and I ran. And it wasn't a conscious thought. It just happened. And I looked back, A, to see if he was coming after me, and B, to see if she was, you know, he'd got her. And he'd gone. There was nothing there whatsoever.
Wow.
So you're left with that and you don't know where to go with it. You can't talk to your teachers about it. Or, I mean, I was a mess by the time I got home. My mum was in and my mum was just, look at this state of your uniform, get upstairs. You know, my mum had no busy working mum with kids. My dad understood. My dad was fantastic with me about it because he could see that I was scared because I had to go back there the day after for school.
Right. And
that was the last thing I wanted to do, was go near that area ever again.
Wow.
And then luckily, as the years have gone on, I mean, it's 37 years ago or something like that now, I found 9 other people in my town that have seen the same creature in the same area and have been happy enough to report it now. Things have changed that much in the UK.
Wow.
You know? So validation is a wonderful thing when you're a witness. And I think that's what drives me. I want that for the others.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I want them to have the same feeling. It was such a relief. There was an elderly lady came forward and said she didn't contact me. She contacted Thomas Markham in America, and he runs a blog called Crypto Crew, and it's quite well known. And she wrote to him and said, I feel awful because 30 years ago I saw this very strange creature, head to toe. She saw him in the same park, and there was a young girl in my town that saw him, young girl being me, and she was absolutely ridiculed, and I didn't come forward and help her, and it stayed with me for the last 30 years. Can you help me find her? And he said, I know who she is. It's Deborah Hatswell. She's been, you know, kicking down doors for years saying, I saw it. I don't know how I saw it. I don't have the answers for you, but I saw it.
Yeah.
I want some answers myself, and that's kind of where I am now in what I do. So you know, strange, isn't it? How you can go from being the only person to, well, actually, I saw it, and I saw it as well, and I saw it as well. And now I've been able to go back before my account. I found accounts from the 1970s
Wow.
the 1960s. So from the 1960s, the last report would be 2016.
Okay.
Which is a massive amount of time, isn't it? For
Yes.
these imaginary creatures to be seen.
Exactly. Yeah.
By
So did your friend see it as well?
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine. I don't know Australia well enough to give you a comparison with the town. Very working class.
Okay.
Very people go to work, they come home, and they're absolutely drained from the commute and probably shut the door and, you know, watch television all night. It's that kind of town. So to come out and say that you'd seen something completely impossible, I probably would have ended up in the, well, I nearly did end up in the nearest loony bin. People thought I was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And it kind of followed me my entire life. So I think I've got a different perspective on it than most people, because for me, answers are great, aren't they? They're absolutely great, but I just want to be vindicated. I think that's the right word. That I'm not a complete and utter lunatic.
Yeah.
There are other people like that out there
Yeah.
as well that have seen the same thing, you know.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
It's just mind blowing, isn't it? Absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah, such a small moment, such a big change.
Yeah.
So did your friend with you see it as well?
Yeah, we both saw it.
Obviously that must have helped. That's immediate, like,
yeah, immediately.
confirmation.
I always called him the man ape, because, as you said before, you hear stories from villagers and things like that. You have to go off their knowledge base on what they tell you. So if they think that it's a monkey, that's the word that they will use.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a word for him. We didn't know what he was. I didn't even know the word cryptid. First thing that come into my head was the ape man. I always called him the ape man monster. Always. And she always called him the gorilla man. And afterwards, years afterwards, you know, when people go, oh, there's always been a tale of a gorilla man in that part. You know, that's why people don't play in there at night. That would have been wonderful information to know at 15.
Yeah.
You know, but nobody told me till afterwards. And we still talk about it. She came to my wedding. You know, we're both grandmothers now, and years on. She wants nothing to do with it. Not interested in it in any way, shape, or form. She runs with the theory because it did not happen. I know it happened, but I don't want to think about it. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine to do that. Lots of people have said to me, why haven't you brought her forward? And I said, well, if she wants to, then I will.
Yeah.
But it's my story's mine and her story's hers, and she has to do with that what works for her.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not in control. Yeah, I'm not in control of that. And she has offered to do it, and I just said to her, it's entirely up to you. It's entirely up to you. It doesn't matter. It won't change me if people keep saying I'm a liar or I'm a hoaxer or anything like that. I've heard it all before. And it just, I was kind of mean to her, I think, because I kind of blamed her in the beginning that we were there. And I thought it was something to do with her, and I'd been this unwilling passenger. And she felt the same way about me. So we were kind of split as friends that day. And we always, you know what it's like with girls at school, you just kind of avoid each other because you don't want to talk about the subject. But we live in a very small town, so obviously when she got married, I went to her wedding. When I got married, she came to my wedding. You know, kids probably still go to similar schools and things like that. And it wasn't in her life for her. That wasn't the biggest thing on her list.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it was. It really, really was. I thought it was absolutely mental. I thought it was going mental. And you do as a teen, don't you? As a teen, you don't know where you fit in society. You're going through all these hormonal changes. And there are times when you think that you're the only person in the world that feels like that.
Yes, it can be.
And to have that, I think, on as well as what had happened, I honestly think, I don't like using PTSD because I think I haven't been to war, but it changed my life. I stopped camping. I stopped through my 20s. I never took my girls, I've had children. I never took them in the woods or anything like that unless it was daytime.
I see.
The second it get dusk, I was out of there. So I found I was cutting corners off my life.
I see.
Can't go there. And, oh no, I'm not going to Scotland, because anything that was wooded or had this connotation that he would be behind every tree waiting to get me.
Yes. And
you said earlier when you thought, I'm just going to ask everybody. About 14, 15 years ago, I had an accident, and my legs don't work very well, so I was in a wheelchair. But when at the time I had the accident, I was actually laid flat in the bed because I had spinal damage. I had nothing that I could do. I couldn't use my arms, couldn't use my legs. All I could do was think.
Right.
And I thought, this is the time to find out what he was and put that fear behind you forever.
Okay.
Because my biggest challenge then was learning to walk again. And I couldn't have both those challenges. I knew I had to concentrate. I had 2 children. I had to get back up and walk. And they said that I would never do that. And just sheer determination. I thought, well, I will. Wow. You watch me then. Yeah. That was down to my mum. My mum said, you've got 2 choices. You can lie in that bed and feel sorry for yourself, or you can get up and start fighting. You choose.
Wow.
That's the type of mother that I am. So that's what was my choice. I thought, right, well, I will. So when I couldn't go out and I was stuck on the bed for like, it must have been 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
I reached out to everybody that I could find. I'd done CB radio years before, looking for truckers and people who drove the roads to see if they knew anything. So I went back to that. Went on radio. I would go on FM radio, try and find anybody out there that had talked to me about it. I'd write to small little newspapers in tiny little country towns, and that's how it started.
Amazing.
And my daughter would stand at the side of me, and I'd say, I found one in Sevenoaks. The description says it looks like a man and he's at half an ape, and she'd put the pin in the map for me. And that's how it all started for me.
Okay.
And then as you find another person, and then another person, and another person, and then another person, and you think, this is unbelievable. And then it's just always been the same. They're just coming consistently all the time.
Yes. I think there's a culture shift happening. I think it's becoming, I mean, I'm in some ways lucky to be coming into this young and at a time when it's, for me, always been fine to talk about weird stuff. I've never really faced any sort of discrimination against my beliefs, weird or not. I even mentioned it in my recent job interview, and I got that job, and they're fine with it. It's not a stigma as much as it used to be.
No, I think that's fantastic, especially it is much easier now to discuss it and come forward and discuss it and find that validation for yourself from other people. Because there's enough podcasts out there that are talking about it now. And I think all across the world, people want to reconnect to our earlier memories, earlier times when it was less hectic and not 2019. I think there's a huge turn in rewilding, people going back to the old ways and things like that. And I think we're just more accepting.
Yes.
Much more accepting of that people see strange and unusual things, and in this, probably go back 150 years, if you went to a seance or reported a ghost, you were an absolute lunatic and probably been put in bedlam. Now everybody's got an EMF meter and a hobby box, and it's fine. Same with the UFO witnesses in the 70s. Very, very bad ridicule that they came under. Now it's quite accepted.
Yes. Even the government's talking about it.
Exactly. So, and it's because of doing things that you do that brings that subject forward for people and makes it okay to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's okay to talk about it on the train going to work, or it's okay to talk about when you have a pint with your mates, or you're in the cafe, and you can bring these stories up, and people, 9 times out of 10, people will say, well, it's funny you should say that. But I know a gentleman, or my Uncle Ronnie, or when I was 7, and the tale comes forward. Yeah. And then you just think, here's another one, and then I get my pen out and I say, just one second, and then just start writing it.
And what's his email? Yeah, absolutely. And I think another benefit to this sort of shift that's happening, I can see it with my co-host Paddy. He's skeptical as anything, and he has this, what's the word for it, just assumption of what cryptozoology is. They're all crazy. Yes. And only by getting him and sitting him down and talking through in a reasonable way what is actually out there. I'm not making stuff up. This is this is fact, and some stuff is hearsay, and you can discount it or you can not discount it. But some things like footprints, hair evidence, recordings, you can't dispute that. And he's a logical man. It would be illogical to refute some of these things. So just
it's good to be a little bit skeptical. You
absolutely.
Don't want to see a cryptid in everything. I try and say that to people. I say 9 times out of 10, what you find is probably going to be the weather, or it's going to be scouts or children, or it's just going to be natural damage out there in the woods. A very small percentage. There's a lot of misinformation out there. People are putting bushcraft shelters up and survival shelters and all that's going on. I think mixed up within that, there are some very small signs that we can look for when we're out in the woods.
Yes.
It's not really my area of expertise. We do have footprint finds in the UK. I think many years ago, when you're a witness, I always say this to people, you're supposed to have an answer for them. So where are the footprint finds? What do they eat? Where do they go?
Yes.
How do they have babies? I don't know. He didn't give me a frequently asked question pamphlet. He scared the absolute out of me, and off I went. So I have the same questions as you. But I'm a staunch lass, and I thought, right, well, I'll try and answer them then.
Yeah.
If he is here, then we should be finding the same things that they are finding in Washington State, or in Australia, in Russia. And by reaching out to people, I was able to see their finds and was able to match them here in the UK. So I thought, well, we have got footprints. There are actual footprint finds. We have got anecdotal witness accounts. I know that's not enough for some people, but people are putting their neck on the line, you know, police officers, government officials, every day. You know, they're putting their neck on the line and they're reporting it. There should also be around that report, if we're looking at a flesh and blood creature, an animal should make a noise. It should have a particular habit, and we should be able to pick up on that. So we're looking for things like whoops and howls, this strange bedding area that kind of like the gorillas make, and all this kind of thing. We need to be looking and seeing if we can match them in the UK. And we can match them in the UK. There's no doubt about that anymore, that we can match them in the UK. And I used to say to the skeptics, so if he's not making them here, he's not making them in America, is he? So everyone in America's wrong as well. If I can match you structure for structure, footprint for footprint, witness account for witness account, area, habitat, ecosystem, food habits, we have reports of them eating. We have reports of them hunting, taking down deer and things like that. And that put it to bed for me. I thought, well, I've answered all those questions. There is enough food in the UK. If you were a forager, I forage, you have no trouble finding food out there if you want to.
And I've noticed that, obviously, I'm now in the UK. I moved from Australia over just after Christmas last year gone. And I've been out and about in the woods around here. And it's a totally different landscape compared to Australia. There are berries galore, there are rabbits, there are deer.
And it's very damp. We live in a very damp climate. Caesar hated it the first time he came. He absolutely hated it. And when it took him 90 years to come back, he said it was a terrible, dank place to live. And it kind of is on some days. But if we try and take I always say to people, try and take the kind of paranormal aspect out of it and think of them more like, say, a wild human or an early human. They should be following routes, because we did. You can't eat in an area for a year. You would deplete the sources. You would have to continue to be on the move. And any large predator, like a large cat or a bear, does just that. It moves over about 40 miles. And I thought, right, go and find an archaeology class and find out what early Brits were doing, what routes that they were following. So that's what I did. And I was absolutely amazed that they lined up with the sighting account, and I couldn't get over that. And I thought, is there a foraging pattern going on? Are we seeing maybe 7 or 8 of the witnesses seeing the same one, because it's moving between somewhere? So is there a pattern in the description? And there is. Normally reddish. Think of our woods in autumn, that reddish browny colour that you see in a red setter or in a chestnut horse or something like that. That colour comes up consistently. Very dark brown or very, very black in colour. Fantastic for our woods, that. Absolutely wonderful for hiding, you know. And at dusk and dawn, you could just quite easily stay hidden. Most of our towns are incredibly small. We call them little conurbations. And then around them, you've got lots of farms and fields, and that will take you out to the coast or up to the wooded areas. So there could be a possible route for them to take where they could. There's some areas in the UK, I think some people abroad will be shocked to know that you can cross within an hour. If you go to Northumberland, you can go from the east coast to the west coast in an hour. So you could quite easily eat on the west coast, make your way in, following the river, say the River Ouse, for example, take you across to the west coast, and then I've gone the wrong way around, and west to east, and you could eat on that side for your supper. So there is a bounty of food. I think we've ticked those answers off. There's just so much food out there. It's unbelievable. Where do they go? That's the big question.
Yeah. It does lead to a question about population size then, because obviously America, Australia, wilderness is just a huge amount of untouched wilderness, and UK is very small. So, I mean, if they're here, it's got to be a small population, or they're more comfortable being closer to one another. They don't have these massive ranges of territory. Are they... I mean, there's a theory that they work in social groups. Maybe they're just
I would imagine so. There are reports of them in groups all across the world and here in the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
I've noticed very strategic things, like something that the army would do. You're not finding, you couldn't track them, I don't think, if you were the world's best tracker. I think they're very strategic in their thinking. I think we mix them up with apes and give them that kind of dumbed down. They would have been found by now. We would have them in zoos.
Yes.
I think they outsmart us. Some people feel it in a magical way, but I think, as you touched on earlier, I think we see some abilities as magical. This being able to blend. Animals have been doing it for millennia, haven't they?
Camouflage.
Yeah, the natural camouflage. I think it might be that. And I think they're very strategic. They know the woods like your front room or your bedroom. They know where everything is. And they would hear you coming before you got out of the car.
Smell you, probably.
Yeah, and you'd be shocked if you actually look at the government figures for urbanisation in the UK, and that includes all roads and motorways. It is 6.7%.
Really? Okay.
Really, and you can check that yourself. The survey was done in 2016, and it actually breaks it down into like Wales, Scotland, England, and Ireland. Wales has a very, very low population of humans per mile. England's much greater, but actually out of those towns, only 6.7% of the UK is urbanised.
Fascinating.
And people say, what about farms? But what about farms? You see, you're adding farms in, Deborah. Only 70% of farms is just arable, just fields and food. So there's only 30% where you've got like cows and sheep and, your actual dairy farming and things like that. So the space is out there. Then you have to look at subterranean. The UK is underrun with tunnels, always has been, and they run up to Bosnia, Romania, places, Turkey even.
Really? Wow, I had no idea. I had no idea about that.
And so, what the possibility that they could be subterranean in some way?
Okay, yeah.
So then I thought, well, do we get reports in Europe? If say I can pop down in Sherwood Forest and pop up in Tunisia, I should be finding accounts, and I did. And I was really shocked. Romania, Slovakia, most of Natalia will love me for this one. I always get it wrong. I think it's Belarus. Yeah, Belarus. Yeah. And then I thought, the Russians have the Almaty, don't they? There's no sea border. So they could come from the north and all the way down, right across Europe.
Wow.
I'm finding reports in Finland, Sweden, Norway, Germany, Denmark, you name it, there's a report.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same across Europe as it is here. So you're thinking, I know it's a big stretch, but are they subterraneously moving around? Is that where they disappear in the winter months? Because the UK is not, I know people say we have bad winters, but compared to Russia and Washington and places like that, it's quite mellow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? You can just head south. It's quite nice down south. Exactly. And just go south, it'll be warmer down there. I just think we have a lack of reports, you see, between October, November time, February, March time. The reports drop off.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's because we're not accessing the areas because of the bad weather, so we're not there to see them, or do they actually move off somewhere during those winter months? One of the questions I'm trying to answer at the minute, actually, and because nobody's mapping the cave systems. I think we've only looked at about 16% of them in the UK. So what we really want to know is what's down there. Can we find any evidence down there, kind of thing? Which would probably where my next set of research is going to go, is to try and get down into those cave systems.
Amazing.
See if there's anything down there. We should be finding bone finds. We should be finding
hair.
Yeah.
Scat.
And if we're discussing that they may be of a hominid down the hominid line, something like that, we should be finding bone tools and stone tools and even fire rings, in all honesty. You don't know, do you? We all surmise that they don't use fire, but we don't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's it. Because nobody's actually sat down with one and asked them the question.
Exactly.
There's no experts, are there? We're all just theorising.
Yeah.
And the theories on what Bigfoot can be go from everything from a flesh and blood hominid, right the way through to sentient being or an alien or something like that, and everything else on the fan within that. And I just thought, well, I'm not narrowing myself down to one. I want to taste every single flavour and see which one works for me, kind of thing.
Like a charcuterie board of Bigfoot.
Yeah. I'm not there yet. I've not decided yet what they are particularly.
Yes, I do ping pong around myself. I think most of the time I'm on the more flesh and blood side of things. You know, they leave footprints, and if they had the option to not, I don't think they ever would. Why would they?
Exactly. Yeah, why would they? Yeah, exactly that.
So
and they eat, and there's the eating thing, isn't there? They take in food and they eat. Yeah.
And there's
some people think that they can be both. That they can be all, like dimensional or something like that. And the reports kind of do back up both sides of the theory. So it's really hard.
It is, yes.
To come down on it. So I just decided then I'm not going to do it then. I'm not going to choose. I'm going to listen to everything and then I'll make my mind up at some point. When I'm 100%, that's the answer for me, then I'll say that's the answer for me. And I may have been wrong 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but I'm not ready. I'm not there yet, I don't think. There's too many people still to speak to,
Absolutely.
And like yourself, in all honesty, the more I can learn from everybody else and then I can pass it on as you do to other people and they can think, well, actually, it might not be this massive scary thing that I thought it was. I might be able to, if I can see it as the Oran Pendek, I can understand it. It's a missing something that's never been seen. Well, I can get my head around that. That's really, really easy. And there's no doubt about the Oran Pendek, let's be honest. I mean, the government might have a doubt about it, but the villagers don't. They know it's there, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time for that one. If we can discover it in time before it goes extinct.
Yeah, exactly. That is the worry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be the same for the Bigfoot. If they are flesh and blood, we could deplete them over the next 10 or 20 years. We could wipe them out completely.
Yes.
I think we'd have a lot to learn from them, like we do from the apes and the great apes. Foods and medicines and natural resources that are out there. I think they could teach us an awful lot out there. If we had, we do have ongoing habituations. There are areas where people have watched them for generations within a family. They might not call them Bigfoot. They might have their own family name for it. But these dark, hairy things that live in the woods that grandma reported and great-granddad reported, and like gentlemen in the 50s and 40s and 50s now are saying, oh, it's always been like that around here. We just call it the ginger eye. It's nothing. If you leave your fish out, it'll take them. If you don't do your deer kill straight away, it will take it. So they know that something's going on in the land. They just don't know what word to put onto it. And I never say, oh, that's Bigfoot. I say, well, there is a theory that it could be this or it could be that. Yeah. And then you go out and taste all the flavours and then you decide what it is for you. And then that's the name that we'll give it. If you say it's a ginger ale, we will call it the ginger ale because that's what you know it as. Yeah. And you'd be amazed how many, up in Scotland especially, I think because it's such an ancient place, there's so many reports up there. It's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And they're coming from the mountaineers, the shepherds, the groundskeepers, of these tall, hairy, always the same, tall, hairy, dark figure that moves off into the woods or will do a kind of distractive technique to scare the crap out of you so you get out of there. So they stick throwing, the hoots, the wood knocking, the howls, this clever distraction technique normally gets a human running.
Yes. It doesn't take much, to be honest.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I mean, it would work for me. So I even look at old paranormal accounts. So like where a screaming woman is reported, but there's this years and years of this screaming or howling, and you think, I need to go and look at that place. Pluckley is an area, Pluckley Woods. If you look up the most haunted woods in England, you'll find Pluckley Woods. It's called Deering Woods, actually, but they call it Pluckley Woods for some reason. And there are so many accounts down there of like these running feet that you can't see, or something shadowing you within the bush, and you can't quite make out what it is. Screams and howls and whoops and all of that is why it's called the most haunted wood in England.
Oh, exactly.
I thought, that's where I need to go.
To one person that's a ghost, to another person that's like a Bigfoot. That's
exactly that.
good point.
You're dealing with that as well, Megan. So you're trying to work out, is it a ghost report, is it an alien, and you think, well, I can't do that. All I can report is on what the person said and what happened at the time.
Yes.
And what their thoughts on it are. And that's all I've ever done, really. I've just, don't get me wrong, I've been called everything from a cult leader to a harlot in my
Oh, God.
Honest to God, the things I've been called, you would not believe it. And I think it's just because I won't settle on an answer. I'm not ready to settle, and other people are, and that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work for me until I either see him again, or I'm too old to keep researching. I think I'm always going to be at it trying to find out.
Good. We need people like that. We need people like you.
It's not been an easy journey, I'll be honest.
I was looking at the Google Map integration that you created. I show that to anyone who is slightly interested in this stuff. I just think it's so fantastic. I have a few friends that I've made in the UK who are interested in this sort of thing, and it's so easy to share, and they can get stuck in and they can read about it. And I saw there was an encounter that happened in Box Hill, which is sort of south of London, which just it was such a simple account. There's a nice big walk around the woods there, and there was a lady, it was a jogger. I'm not sure if it was a lady on there.
Yeah, I think it was a lady jogger,
running up and down the stairs. She was sitting down to have a rest, and she heard someone behind her, thought it was someone walking their dog. They didn't pass her, looked behind, and there's just a big hairy humanoid there looking at her, and then it moved away. And I went, oh my God, that is like an hour on the bus for me. So I went on the bus like immediately, and I spent a whole day in Box Hill walking around. I went to exactly where that sighting occurred.
I'm just pulling it up on my map now, actually, so I can see what's around it.
Yeah, it's
an amazing area, isn't it, Box Hill?
It was something. There was definitely, not to get all like airy-fairy, but there was definitely a feeling in there. I got a little nervous. I was by myself. I had my camera, and I just sat on the steps and listened. And it was quite a windy day, so every rustling tree, I was like, I'm ready. I just think that map is so cool, because it was so easy for me to connect with a real sighting, get on a bus, get on a train,
get out of town,
go there,
and have you probably
incredible witness.
Epping Forest and places like that. There are accounts. It seems to be that they can't seem to be near rivers, streams, dikes, that kind of thing. And I wonder if that's just really easy cover to move around. And when I said to you before that there should be other things than just this actual sighting. And there are. When you look at the Box Hill one, there's an account at Dark and Deep Dean. And Dark and Deep Dean is just below. I think it's on the map as a question mark.
Okay.
Because the gentleman did not know what to call it. And he's out there with his brother. And Dark and Deep Dean is a set of military installation from World War II. And it's where we hid our trains. So there's a huge train tunnels and everything down there. So you get a lot of geocachers, and you get lots of people doing paranormal days there. And, you get kind of like, let's just go in there and see. So he's there with his brother, and he said, we're about to sneak in, because you're not supposed to go in there. It's military defence. He's about to sneak in, and they hear this mumbling talk. So he says, let's back off. We'll go and back off and sit in the bushes, thinking it's another, like, investigators, probably the best word I can come up with. And he says as he does that, he experiences what they described as a almost bluff charge. The trees began to shake and move. There was banging, there was noise, and he felt like something rushed at them through the trees and moved them from that area. And that's what they did. They removed themselves from the area, and they didn't actually go in. And then I thought, that's minutes away from Box Hill.
Yes, it is. I'm just looking at it on the map.
Yeah, and then you've got another one just to the side of it, just to the southeast, there's an area called Lynch Hill. And one of the legends about Lynch Hill is that dogs will not go into a certain area of the woodland there. They tend to stop and will not go in. Or they will react in a really strange way that the owner is not used to, and sometimes get aggressive. Well, that interests me because dogs are very good at picking up on what can eat them, or what is a bigger threat to them. And normally when a dog is annoyed at something, but he'll make the most amount of noise that he can make, and he make himself really big. When a dog shrinks down and covers its belly, it's frightened.
Yes.
And if it starts to really low, it doesn't want to give its position away. That interests me greatly. When dogs are doing that, it could be a big cat or it could be what we're looking for. So that's why Lynch Hill's gone in the map, and it's still happening with with the dog walkers. And then it is, you've got what is also called the Great Buckham Hairy Creature. So obviously the person making that report says it was about 9 p.m. I was in Norbury Park in Great Buckham in Surrey. He's walking on one of the tracks. We watched his boxing played in the field when I noticed a large dog-shaped figure in the middle of the track. It was large. It was at least 3 to 4 foot high, very shaggy looking, and it had a brown fur and quite blurry. I think what he's trying to describe is what we would call a shuck in England, kind of devil dog, some people call them, or a
I've heard about those.
Yeah, and I thought that's going on. I didn't put it on as a Bigfoot report because it didn't come in as a big report, but it's something strange moving about in the area.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I want to know is it the area itself that's important? Is it attracting them in some way?
Okay. Or
is it the person seeing them that's important? So I want to note down anything that's in that actual area. And then I'm just above Leatherhead, which is not too far. You've got another account of a shaggy shuck in 2010. So all around the Box Hill, to the northwest, to the southeast, and to the south, you have these strange, shaggy, dark shucks that are reported. So it is a possibility that might be an area that I need to get my researchers down to because of these consistent reports. You'll probably find after, if you look, find the river, and follow that river out, and there will be sightings all along that, right the way out to the estuary on the coast.
Wow.
And I think just because I work on it all day, I kind of know that it's not just my filing system, it's my way of knowing what's been reported in what area at what time. You know, so I can now when a new report comes in, I can quickly have a scan about what's round and think, right, that makes sense to me. Or no, I need to get down there and get eyes on the ground because it's you know, coming from an area that we're not used to getting them from. But there isn't really an area where we're not getting them from.
Yeah, I can see that. The map is chockers.
It's unbelievable. And I have tried going out into other countries, and I am going to continue to add on now because the reports are coming in from everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought, right, I need to just keep going with it and just keep mapping it in the world. It's absolutely free if you want to use it. If anybody out there wants to use it, just put Deborah Hatswell's Bigfoot mapping and it'll pop up on Google and just use it, you know? Even if it's just for a bit of fun, if you just want to read the accounts, why not? You know,
it's awesome.
Yeah, they might find something in there that interests them, and maybe they'll nip out to the woods. And I always say, take the kids, take the grandkids, just go out and have a day and see how you feel when you're down there. Get a feel for the place.
Above all else, the Box Hill was beautiful from what I saw. I went in the dead of winter and everything was dead, but it was still so beautiful. So, I mean, it's a fantastic excuse, if nothing else, to get people out in nature. And also, you've got your email address attached to it. So, if you do have a sighting, or if someone else,
or if you just want info, if you just got any questions, just email me. It might take me a few days to get back to you, but I will get back to you. It just takes me a while sometimes because it's only me. You know, I don't have this huge team of people. I do now. I'm very lucky now. We have lots and lots of members because we have a group now. So
I'd love to know more about that. Yeah, I saw there was a membership program.
It's more. It's so other people can meet others. Not so much in a situation of how do I explain it? I get lots of people who say to me, Deborah, is there anybody else in my area I can talk to about this? Or do you know anybody else in my area that's interested in going out and meeting up and, you know, having a bit of a research? And I thought, map it, Deb. Just put them on the map. So when they come in, I can say, actually, yeah, there's 3 gentlemen around Box Hill. Here are their emails. If you want to get in touch with them, have a chat with them online or interview them for your podcast. Or if you want to meet up with them and go out and do what they do for the day, do that. And it's absolutely free. You know, we don't charge anything for it. And then I try and get to as many places across the country as I can. Being disabled, it's not easy. So I've been able to do 3 or 4 this year where I've managed to get myself into a central area and then people come out and meet. And we just have a natter like me and you are doing now.
Fantastic.
We talk about Bigfoot and cryptids and UFO and paranormal. And we just talk about all of those things. We have a really good day. And then we all go home. And then that's kind of like, that's like a little community, in all honesty.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, because I think people need to be able to talk about it to each other. They want to bounce ideas about. They want to. What's your theory on it? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, and have an actual discussion, because I think, I mean, I'm sure you find this as well. The average Joe doesn't care particularly, and you want to talk about something for ages and really deep. And it's really hard to find someone who is interested that much.
They just glaze, don't they? You just see the glaze.
Just nodding.
And you think, oh, I've lost them.
Yep.
Definitely lost them.
All right, we'll talk about like football or whatever now.
Yeah, what did you watch on TV yesterday? But you also see there's the opposite effect of that. You'll have a conversation with somebody. It's happened so many times with me. I'll be talking with a friend about it, and someone will tap me on the shoulder and say, I wasn't over listening, I wasn't being nosy, but I heard what you said and I'm really interested in it. Where can I go to find this? There's been occasions where we've had people go out to areas to research, and they've gone for a drink in the cafe or something. And some of them will wear Bigfoot t-shirts, you like to wear it. And a number of people have said to them, it's really, is that real on your t-shirt? And they say, well, yeah, it's what I do. I'm a member of this community. Well, it's funny you should say that, because when we were walking the dog last year, or when we were up in the Cairn Gardens last year, and they tend to open up and give you that tail, which is, so I get lots of members saying, Deb, I've been in the cafe today, or I've been in the pub today, and somebody's told me this. And I say, get the number, give them my email, or get the number, and I'll get in touch with them, and we'll get their account as well, and we'll add that on. And silly things that I didn't notice until you start mapping something, you don't see the pattern within it. So I do. That's how my brain works. I have a condition called Erlen syndrome, and it's just to do with how my brain processes written word. So I don't see the written word, I see the lines within it. So I have to really concentrate to keep my eyes on the line. But what it does mean is when I look at maps or patterns or something, I can immediately spot something the same. So it's worked to my advantage. So when I started the members map and I started adding people, there's a very small town in the northeast called Stanley. Really tiny, like my town, working class town with a pit and a mill, same thing. Right on the northeast coast, right where Northumbria is. Northumbria is a beautiful place where Adrian's Wall is. So you're right on the border with Scotland. And there are witnesses there. The first witness was age 7, and she's in her 50s now, and it still upsets her to this day. Because she was playing as kids would on a rope swing. And she had older girls with her that were watching her. And she said she looked up into the tree, and she described it like Heidelbergensis, this almost hominid crouched man with a knife in his hand.
Oh my God.
Exactly. And she ran off screaming. And she said it was more frightening that the other girls didn't see him, because she was hoping they were going to say, oh yeah, we saw him and it was just, and they didn't see him at all.
Right.
And that completely terrified her, because why did I see him? Why was I the only one that could see him? And then all these years later, I put her account out about 3 years ago. 6 of the witnesses in that town now, and none of them knew about each other.
Wow.
Until I put them on the members map. So there's like 7 or 8 people all in one little village with either an interest in the cryptid subject or an actual experience that they can put to the cryptid subject. So now they're all in contact. They kind of got the little team together. So they go out and they investigate, and they have tracked every sighting. They've gone out to every sighting area and look what's in that area. What could have been of interest? Is there a resource? Is there any hidden tunnels or any mine shafts? Just looking for clues, really. Because in all honesty, we shouldn't have 6 reports from one very small town, but we do in my town. And we do in Staffordshire, and we, it's the same everywhere across the UK. So the members group was just put your name on. Just put your name on in your contact email. If you've got a podcast you want to advertise, put it on there, because they all like podcasts. They all like, you know, they like listening to it. I think it's just a way of networking for us all, you know.
Sounds
and I'm hoping
amazing.
it'll grow, because it's nothing to me. All I do is I send them out a set of membership papers, and then I just send an email with every single link. So they got like a link to the map, a link to the members map, a link to all the free podcasting sites, so they can find their way around. And they can, even if you're new and you've not got an interest in it, you'll find something in there that, you know, and you'll find somebody to talk to on that map.
Yeah.
And then ladies say, oh, I'm really worried, Deb, about, well, I understand that. You don't want to meet a strange man in the woods. I get that. And you need to be really careful about who you speak to online. So if that's a problem to you, don't worry about it. I'll pop you an email, and I will just put on your tab, see Deborah for contact details.
Right.
And then I will send you the details over. And if I can't vouch for him and I don't know him 100%, I would say to you, probably best if you don't meet him in the woods.
Yep.
You know? But if you do, take your hubby, take your dog, take 4 of your friends, make sure, you know, just be a little bit, we have to be careful online, don't we?
Yeah.
So it even works for that. If you don't want your name out there and you don't want anyone to know that you like this subject, that's fine. You know, I'll just keep hold of your email, and anything that comes in for your area, I'll pop it over to you, because I do a monthly, like every month I let them know any new sightings that have come in. Or say there's going to be a conference or something like that they might find interesting, I pop that on there as well. And like tonight, I do a live feed, so they can chat to each other in the chat.
Cool.
So I will sit and talk just as I'm talking to you now, and I'll read out all the accounts that have come in the last 4 weeks.
Yep. While
they chat away with each other in the chat, and it's just a way for them to network.
That's amazing. That sounds like my jam. How do you sign up?
If you just email me, just pop me an email over, and I'll send you a set of printable. You can just print your papers off if you like, and they're all there. And I'll send you the email with the link on. There is only a one-off fee, and I hate saying this. It's only £3.99, and we never, ever charge again. And that's just for the paper, so I can print it off, stick the stamp on, and send it out there, and that's it. Everything's free after that, you know. It's just an admin thing.
Yeah,
and I think it is a way of keeping trolls and idiots away. Let's put it like that. If you're interested and you're prepared to pay the £3.99, you will get your money's worth. And if you don't, I'll give it back. You know, it's not the end of the week. If you hate it, I'll give you your money back. You know, I don't mind. I just think it's a good. I'd love to get more podcasters involved. And because I think there's a very limited lot of information out there with some of the original sites. And I'm not going to name names, but we're stuck in this attack. Every story is an attack, and every story is it killed my dog and it took my wife, and you know, it set fire to my house. I want to kind of get away from that and just get people talking on a normal basis. So what happened to you when you saw it? How did you feel afterwards? What were you doing before it happened? I think that's more important to me than the. So the more that I can do that, get podcasts out there that are not down the aggressive line, let's say, because you don't have many reports in the UK of attacks. So
I've heard that they sound like they're more retreat slowly.
Back into the woods. Mostly. And I think it's because we're not out in camo, we're not carrying guns.
True.
And most people that see them are not out looking for them. So they're walking the dog, they're doing something that makes them very relaxed. So they're out walking the dog, or they're hiking, or they're on the bike. That happens a lot. The mountain bike trails, we get lots and lots of them from there.
Does it make sense?
You're just going about your own daily business, and you see this thing, you're confronted with this thing, and you've got to try and work out what it is, and then B, what do you do afterwards? Where do you go with that? So that's where my interest lies. And just being able to say to them, look, you're not on your own. There's so many of us, and I never give them any details until I've got the account.
Yes, very good. Yeah, obviously.
I don't want to influence them in any way. So I say to them, could you write it out for me in email, or just voice it in an audio message, and I can have a listen to it, and then I can send you some things over, and I can say maybe, well, there was 2 other accounts in your area in 89 and 2011. Or I can say you reported it as like a man completely hair covered wearing what you thought was an orange fur coat. Well, in Scotland, there's an account where the lady reports as this hominid man with what she describes as an orange fur coat. And it makes them think, oh, thank goodness for that. someone else is reported.
It's invaluable to them. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. So as I say, I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but that's where it lies for me. That's my biggest interest. So the more people I can get on there talking, the bigger the subject's going to become. And all these people who are out there thinking that they're crazy or they're on their own will suddenly realise that no, you're not.
No.
And I think that's why I want to branch out as well into other things, because I don't think people are taking reports. I'm getting reports from people who have been abducted, people who've got missing time. I think suddenly it's become, Debbie will listen to me.
Yeah.
So I need to help them as well. I really need to help them.
Yeah.
So I say to them, I don't know anything about that subject. I am blind, but I will find out what I can.
Yes.
And I'll send it over to you, and I will do a podcast, and we'll see if we can get anybody else out there that's gone through something similar, and we'll roll with it that way. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do just keep going as best I can, really.
I mean, that sounds so similar to what my objectives are. We have a segment, we have shorter episodes in between our main episodes called Who Dis, which is a silly name. But
I like that, Who Dis?
Who Dis? New phone, Who Dis? Yeah, it came out of a silly place, but it's I love it very dearly. And we get listeners to write in with any experiences they have, or to send us anything that they've seen online, and for us to sort of evaluate it. What was it? What do you think? Real, fake? What do you think? So absolutely, I don't know if I can help you in any way or any of the people but I absolutely love to talk to people and listen to them as well. A lot of the times when I get listener encounters, same sort of thing. I'll be like, you know what? A lot of them are from America, and I'll be like, I don't know much about the Ozark howler, but I'm going to do a lot of research, and I love doing research. I'm such a nerd like that. So I'll go deep, and then I'll send you everything I can find. And, we put it online, we share it with the community, and I get some stuff back, and, I pass that along. Because sometimes, if you have something weird that happened to you, just someone listening and not judging is fantastic. Like, it doesn't even have to go online if someone
that's what I'm saying. Not everything goes online. If you want to keep it private, but you need to speak to me, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. I don't mind. I've had phone calls at 2:00 in the morning, and I understand that fear, because I used to be as frightened, so I know what it's like. And you've got grown men. I had a gentleman not too long ago, 6'7", built like a Viking, big ginger Viking, and he said to me, Deborah, people come to me when there's trouble, and I sort it out. But I am sat in my car, and I cannot drive down this road to go home. Okay. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And you have to say to him, right, breathe. You just take a minute. Let's just get all that fear and put it to one side, and I will talk to you all the way till you get home.
Yeah.
Or we have another lady in Leicestershire. She was with a sister in a car driving down the road. She said she saw a gentleman cross the road with a pack of dogs and went into the woods. And so obviously they stopped the car to let him pass. And they're on the very narrow, the farm roads. So you've got to pull into the lay-bys kind of thing so you can't turn the car around and go that way. And she said, we carry on a little bit further down the road. So probably about 200 yards from where the man's walked in. They're a little bit further down the road. And she said, I saw something emerge from the woods. And obviously the lights are on the car. It's night time. She said, and it looked at us. It just stood there and looked at us. And I was absolutely terrified. And she said, and the worst thing was, we had to drive past that way. We couldn't turn the car around and go back.
Yeah.
We had to drive past where we'd seen it, kind of cross the road. She described it as almost hunched, like a hunchback. She said there was reflection from the eyes, but there wasn't just one set of eyes. There was eyes here, and she wondered if it was carrying something.
Oh, the baby, yeah.
Yeah, or food.
Oh, I went in a very innocent place there.
I did the same as you. I thought maybe when he's gone in with the dogs, he's flushed something out, and she's picked up a young, and she's crossed the road and gone. So this poor girl, she's only in her 20s, young lass, got 2 kiddies, said to me, how do I walk the dog? What do I do now?
Right.
What do I do now? And I said to her, go back, get your iPhone, put me on the iPhone. I will talk you all the way around that wood. And if you can only go in 3 steps, today we'll do 3 steps. And next Saturday we'll do 4. And the Saturday we'll do 5. And then eventually you'll sit in that wood again with your kid and picnic, because that's what you need to do. And that's what we've done. And it took about 3 years. But now she's fine. She's out and she's researching in her own right.
Wow.
Didn't help the first time she went in, there was a thunderstorm. She was in there about 5 seconds.
Yes.
And there was this huge clap of thunder, as you can imagine. And she was off like a shot.
Not an omen. I swear it's not an omen.
No, and I kept saying to her, right, obviously I can't control the weather, but like, let's try again next week. And that's what we did, in all honesty. Yeah. And she's she still struggles with the sighting, as we all do. Yes. But she's now able to speak to other people and say, no, I'll come out with you. I've been in that place that you're in now, and I promise you that you will come out the other side of it.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to see it from a different perspective, because I always say to them, break it down. Did it touch you? No. Did it try and get you? No. So the attack that you're reporting, why are you calling it attack? Because it was absolutely terrified. And I say, well, yes, so was I. But when you break down what it actually did, it didn't come for you. It got itself away from you as quickly as it could.
Yes.
And yes, you may have been in danger, because we can't account for what they are all like. But you walked away and you're absolutely fine. And you just need to let your brain realise that, go through it and come out the other side. So it's a little bit like counselling, isn't it?
Yes.
You have to feel the feeling to come out the other side of it. So I do a lot of that as well.
Wow.
Just helping them, because I know what it's like to be. I was absolutely terrified. I was absolutely, I say it all the time, and I don't think people realise how frightened I was. I didn't tell my first husband. He was the father of my child, and I couldn't share it with him.
Wow.
Because I knew that he wouldn't listen. He had no understanding of any of it, and I just knew that he wouldn't. And my parents would bring it up on the odd occasion, and my mum always says, Debbie and her 8 man. It's just like, it's nothing to them. And to me, it really means something. So when I met my husband that I'm married to now, it was freeing, because when he was a young lad, he had an experience with the light in the sky, and he missed some time. And he had 3 friends with him at the time when it happened.
Right.
So he knows what it's like to search for answers. And he knows what it's like to be frightened, because he's frightened that it's going to happen again to him at some point. So he admitted to me what had happened to him, and I thought, I'm just going to tell him. I'm just going to jump in with both. We were only courting at the time. We weren't married then. And I thought, he's either going to run in the opposite direction or he'll understand. And
soulmates.
It came out. It just flooded out like an absolute. I couldn't stop. It just all come out. And he said to me, well, you need to decide then. You're either going to put it away forever, and we find a way of you not being scared, or you find it, you find your answer, run at it like you do at everything else, and just find your answer, Deborah. And that's kind of what I'm doing now. I've even found an hypnotist in the last month. I've been contacted because I want to be regressed. I want to go back to that day and see it without running. Do you get what I mean?
Like,
I thought maybe that's the answer. I'm more than prepared to be filmed. I said I don't mind being filmed. I'm not bothered.
So get under hypnosis and get asked questions and see what happens.
Yeah, and just see if I can come out with any information that I didn't have, and see if I can kind of make that fear even smaller for me, if you get what I mean. Because it's there. It's always still there in the back of my mind. It was only 2 years ago that I can't sleep with the window open at the back. I just can't, because there's nothing out there at the back of me. There's a train track and then just fields and farms and woods. So the idea of that window being open while I am vulnerable and asleep still niggles in my mind, even to this day. Can't really. There's an actual video of me 2 years ago, the first time I sat out in my back garden in the dark on my own. That's ridiculous. I was 50 years of age and I didn't want to sit, because it's just a dark black wood that you're looking at, and there's no street lights out the back. You can't see anything. So the idea of sitting out there comfortably was not for me. But I mean, I've managed it. It doesn't bother me at all now. It's okay. It's just I think it's that. I think it's this progression of every time I see somebody else get better and get back out there, and every time I get better and get back out there, I think this is doable, Deb. You can do this. It's not science. You can get your head around it and just do what you do. And people either like you or they won't. There's no control over that. So I just I finally started camping again. I've been able to get back out and start camping again, which is amazing.
It's a big step.
I've not done that in so long. So in the last 3 or 4 months, we've been to as many sighting places as we can find in our area of the UK.
Yep.
So we've been all over the Northwest. And I found a strange coincidence, maybe I'd call it, that all of the reports around the ancient sites, like the Beacon Hills, Longreach Fell, the old places where we built our barrows very, very early on, are where these reports are happening. So I'll go back now to Box Hill just to find out and see if I can find an area in Box Hill where there's been a standing stone, a stone circle like a henge, anything that ancient man had something to do with. And I'll see if it's there, because it tends to pop up in all of the areas, and I didn't realise that. And people report dogmen in the UK, so we get this dog-like creature. I didn't really know very much about it, I'll be honest, but I knew the reports were coming in and nobody was taking them. So I decided that, well, I'd put them on the map anyway, and I got crucified for that. But this, I did. But there's still witnesses to something out there, and their stories is just as important as mine. So I started looking at only the accounts that I've got. I've probably only got about 30 of them. But I wanted to know if there's any correlation there with the ancient sites. And what I found was the dog-like creatures seem to be found in areas that were ancient, maybe for religious purposes, that have now been built upon or damaged in some way. And our modern cemeteries.
Yes, cemeteries, absolutely. I've definitely heard that in America as well.
Right. So you heard that, like dogman-like creatures around burial?
Yeah, in like modern day cemeteries, basically, there's a lot of sightings. I think I've also on your map I read a specific dogman encounter which happened in a cemetery.
Yeah, German cemetery. Yeah,
not too far from me. Yeah.
Everybody knows the name Cannock Chase. We applied under the Freedom of Information Act to see. They're very tricky in the UK. You can't say, have you ever had a report of a werewolf? You have to break it down to a county, and you have to give them a time. So you basically have to say, was there a dogman report in 1969 on February the 2nd? Well, that's just impossible, isn't it? So we asked how many upright creatures had been reported in Stafford Chase to the police.
Okay.
And I should have printed the document. I'll send it over to you in email. Yeah. I've still got it. And there was 12 werewolf reports.
Whoa.
12 people had gone to the police and reported upright werewolves with snout, ears on top of head, the whole 9 yards. I think the wild cats were somewhere like 15,000. It was unbelievable the amount of, honest to God. So that's why I wanted to go down there. I thought I want to go down and have a look. I think there's around about 22 ancient sites on the Chase. Castle Ring is a very old burial mound that's kind of central.
Wow.
And then so you've got this ancient burial mound to the south, and to the north you've got the new Commonwealth graves and the World War II graves there for the German cemetery there. And a number of people have reported, not together, separately over years, these kind of dogman type creature, this hunched thing. Because I always say to them, what did the face look like? Did it? Oh, it had a snout. It definitely had a snout. Right? I think, well, that's not Bigfoot. So I say, where were the ears? Because most people, when you ask ears about Bigfoot, they say, oh, we never noticed. And I think they're like human, like ours.
Yeah.
But they say, oh, they were on top of head. And I think, well,
distinct.
That's very distinctive. Did it have hands? No, it definitely had paws. They tend to rise from 4 feet up to 2, or do the opposite, go from 2 feet down to 4, and then move off. But there are reports of the 8-man creatures doing that as well. But it was just with Cannock Chase, I thought, it's a very central area in the UK. There's all these ancient sites there, and I think people go there because of this, and that's why there are so many reports. So they are being reported to the government. They're just not really being taken seriously by anyone. I think, as you said before, they think we're a bit kooky, or with the Tin Hat Brigade, Tinfoil Hat Brigade. But they're there. They've been reported to. So if that's just one county in a 10-year period, how many others across the UK have actually been reported that we don't know about?
Yeah.
It's just mind-blowing. So I started looking at Ministry of Defence land.
Okay, what's that?
Well, the Ministry of Defence is like Britain's army. So Air Force, Navy. There's a lot of American naval bases over here and American army bases.
Oh, okay.
So you're not allowed on military defence land. You're not allowed on there because it's owned by them. And in some areas where they do training and exercises, there will actually be explosives and things like that. So it's very, very dangerous to go on there. So they're fantastic. There's nobody ever on there. There's a multitude of food stuff on there. And there are reports from serving soldiers that have seen these creatures. One very famous one is on Salisbury Plain, which is near Stonehenge, which you will have heard of.
Yeah.
And that's an entire army, British army, that's on manoeuvres, just, you know, exercises.
Yeah.
Colonel, I think he was a sergeant actually, reports this thing. He said it came out of the woods. It was completely all hair covered. He knocked so that the gunner would look at it, you know, get it in his sight so he'd get a really good look at it. They went back and they reported it to the sergeant and they were told, just basically laughed at.
Right.
And it stayed with him his entire life. And I was really lucky last year. I spoke to his granddaughter. And she said, it stayed with my granddad his entire life because he wasn't believed. And because he was military personnel, he would have been ridiculed by the newspapers. But there are so many other soldiers out there that have seen them on this military defence land. So it seems to be that it's areas of land that the public are not allowed upon. And soldiers are reporting these strange creatures. Now, there's another area called RAF Alconbury. And it's where the British Army have the Air Force.
Okay.
And during the 1970s, the Americans had their naval Air Force base there as well. So you've got lots of accounts in America of people talking about what they call the hard stand monster. And the hard stand is what the plane sits on.
Okay, right.
What we call it tarmac or, you know, just the hard stand where the plane sits. So in the 70s, you've got military staff describe it as a standing wolf, an upright standing wolf. And in every single report, they say it ran off to the north into the North Woods. It ran off to the North Woods. So you've got consistently, all the way through up to the 2000s, different Air Force personnel that report seeing this standing wolf. A security guard on the base reported it again. That was in the 70s, I think. And when I looked at the North Woods, it's a nature reserve. And there's nature reserves all the way around it. And so you're thinking, right, you've got this area of land that no humans allowed on.
Yes.
Which interconnects to all of these nature reserves where people are probably only in the daytime are there, you know.
Yes.
And then you just nip to the river and you can go where you want then. You can go up to the Pennines of Scotland or down south and hit the areas of natural beauty. And the military have started buying up pockets of land and posting them with the SSSI, which means a special scientific area. So you can't go on them, you can't build on them, can't take your car on them. You need permission to go on them. So lots of people want to know if the government have any idea what's going on. Is it completely coincidental?
Right.
And it's nothing to do with it and we're jumping at straws? Or is it this kind of, maybe that's a safe place for them because we're not there?
Yeah.
You know, we just don't know, do we? Something's being reported and something's being seen because over a 50-year period, you've got gentlemen who don't know each other, who live all across the world but served there at that time, making the same report. So what did they see?
Yeah, whoa, that's awesome. I mean, even if nothing comes of it, that's really good for the preservation.
Yeah,
no one's there. No one's dropping trash. No one's
exactly
knowing them.
Like the Go Ape centres. Have you heard about the Go Ape centres in the woods?
No.
The woodland. I'll tell you a funny story if I don't take up too much of your time.
That's fine.
The Woodland Trust own an immense amount of land in the UK. It used to be because of the oak, because for the masts. You get what I mean? Henry VII, most ships had to have these huge masts. So basically, the woods are looked after now, and they're owned by like Cambridge University, Oxford University, and places like that. So, remind me what I was talking about. I've lost my thread. Go Ape. So what they've done is they put these centres within them, so you can go abseiling or kids can go climbing and things, and people hate them. They absolutely hate them. But I say, well, they can't build on there, can they? In a way, they are very good because they can't build on that land. There's no houses going on there. No council estates, no buildings or Aldi or Argos. Nobody's going to be on there. And they only use them during the day. So once 5 o'clock comes and they shut up, it's an empty area again. And we just, I told you I had a meeting, Cannock Chase. Well, sometimes when we have a meet, I only turn up for a couple of hours, say on the Saturday, and my husband gets the fire on, and we all have a cup of tea, and I'll let them ask me anything that they want to ask me. But some of them will go on the Friday and camp out. So they'll stay like overnight Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, and then they go home. So there was a gentleman down there, and I'm sure he won't mind me telling you, and he's from Manchester like me. And when we got a quiet moment during the day, he said to me, I heard some really weird things last night, when I was in my tent. But then I realised it was probably just the monkeys at the Go 8 Centre. And I said to him, there are no monkeys at the Go 8 Centre. His face changed so quickly. He said, well, what did I hear then? I said, I don't know. But they're not called Go 8 because there's 8s in there. They're called Go 8 because you become the 8. You can climb and, it's all safe. You're all tied onto the tree. The look on his face when I said to him, there are no 8s in Cannock Chase, I'm afraid. Yeah, he was absolutely
That's fantastic.
But in this last year, I did the same thing. It was really strange. We did the same thing. So I went down and met them with my friend. And there was lots of people there. I think it was the first one I'd ever done. And 2 guys camped out. And at the night time, about 10:30, he phoned me and said, right, that's enough. Very funny, but you're scaring me now, pack it in. So I got my phone. I'm like, I'm at home in my bedroom. I'm not doing anything. He said, something screamed outside the tent. And I said, what? And he said, it sounded like a woman screaming right outside the tent. And they thought that I'd stayed there and waited 4 hours in the snow and then come back out and get on at the side of the tent. And he's got come. I said, I got on the coach at 5:15. Yeah, I was home for like 7 o'clock. I'm in my bed with my pajamas on. Honest. So there's 2 times where people have stayed out over and have experienced something. I know. So we are going to do another one. And then when I was down there this time, talking about where the reports come from, me and my husband don't have any money, right? Sometimes we don't even have petrol money. We fund all this ourselves. We don't ever have any money. So when we stay anywhere, it's on the cheapest site we can find. And what we found is a lot of farmers are quite prepared to let you keep on the field. And they just charge like £8 or something. So we have like a modern teepee, because you can see to me care needs in it, because it's so, you know what I mean? It's like 7 foot tall. And you can get a proper bed in it and everything. So we're glamping more than So you go down there, and normally you meet the farmer. The farmer will come out and say, right, the toilets are there. And on the back of my car, I have a sticker, which are available for sale, by the way. And it just says on it, BBR, Cryptid and Paranormal Investigations.
Yep.
So he said to me, that's an interesting sticker. What's that about? So I said, it's just what I do. I said, I'm meeting some people today. That's why I'm here early. I'm going to drive down to Cannock Chase and meet them. Now, you think we're in a place called Wolver in Wolverhampton. Okay. And I said to him, there's been so many Dogman accounts down here that I'm meeting a few people. And what I tend to do is I print out every account that we have and I give it to them. And I mark it on the map. So if they want to go and look at the area themselves, they can on the day. And he said to me, it's funny you should say that.
Of course.
About 4 years ago on my land, I saw a strange dog-like creature. He said it crossed from the top paddock and across where we were camping in the valley and up the other end. He said, and it was incredibly big. It was the size of a horse, not a huge horse, like a pony, built like a pony. I had a face like a greyhound. He said, I've never seen anything like it before in my life. So I said to him, can we have your field for next year then? Can I bring as many as my members as I can fit on this field next year, and we can just have a camp out and a campfire? And he went, yeah, not a problem. Just phone me, Deb. So that's what we're going to do.
Amazing. I will be there in a heartbeat. That sounds so good.
Said to me, I said, give us a day when you're not going to have anybody there and it's, no use to you whatsoever, and I'll get my members to come down and we'll just have a camp. He went, I'll sort you some wood out and we'll have a cup of tea and stay overnight, and so why not? So I thought, more of that, let's have more of that. Let's see, I'll start getting all the farmers all over the country and we'll have more of that. I think people would be really interested in it. And I've had a lot of people say, I'm up for that, Debbie, if you can arrange it.
Right.
We're just arranging we've got a conference in February and we've got a conference in March that I'll be speaking at. So I'm just trying to get that sorted at the minute. So probably next month I'll get in touch with him. I'll find out a date so that everybody can say, it's 9 months away. I've got time to take a day off work or whatever. I'm hoping we can do it on a weekend day.
Yeah.
That would be better for people. But if not, if the only chance we get is, say, a Thursday or a Friday, then at least I'm giving people a very long notice so that, they can do something about it.
And leave.
Yeah, and every time we meet, more and more people come.
Amazing.
Absolutely wonderful. And then they all swap stories. I don't tell anyone who's a witness. I say, ask me anything you want to ask me. And then you'll see them start to talk. And they'll say, well, this happened to me. And they'll say, well, actually, I'm the witness for Evesham. And then you see people go, oh, I've read your account. And then it starts, then the conversation starts rolling.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. And then by the time I leave at 5 o'clock, they're all swapping numbers. And it's just, I said, get in the car and I say to Mark, that was worth it, wasn't it, love? And he says, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And then he drives me home again.
That's cool. So what's the conference about? I haven't heard about that one.
It was actually at Buxton. I met people, went down and had a meeting in Buxton about 4 or 5 weeks ago, because of one of the oldest accounts of a wild one in the UK that was actually reported by the police happened there in 1865.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd actually got the photograph that the police had taken of the strange structure that they'd found.
Ooh.
And I was able to match it to structures that we've been found all across the UK. So I said to them, I can't tell you that a wildman's made it, but the police in Victorian England went out with the villagers and tried to capture this thing. So it's documented in police documents, which is fantastic for me. And the accounts there run up to this day. So I went down to meet them there, and I do what I always do. I say, right, to the north there was this account, here's your sheet if you want to go out. And there was a gentleman there, and he said to me, I like what you do because you don't stick to the cryptid subjects, because you're prepared to talk about anything. I said, I don't mind, I want to learn. And then he said, there's no conferences like that, is there? And I said, no, you're right. It's either cryptid, UFO, paranormal, and never the twain shall meet. Let's do a day where we have a town hall meeting, like Finding Bigfoot. We say to people, have you had a strange experience, regardless of what it is? I'll speak on the cryptids. You speak on your chosen subject. You speak about the UFO aspect of things. You speak about the paranormal. And let's get everybody together in one room. Because I'm noticing a crossover between all of them. There are similar things that are similar with each one of those witnesses. So they might not be a witness to the same thing, but they understand the other witness. Do you get what I mean? So let's get them all together in one room, and we'll do that. Okay. And then I said we can have a Q&A hour. If people want to send, give me questions beforehand. Anybody that wants to be part of it, just pop along. And it's in Preston, actually, because it was the only place we could get a really cheap place. It's the first time, isn't it? So we've never done it before, and people have thrown themselves out. Have been so bowled over. People said, oh, I'll come and speak, can I come and speak? So I'm having to put them in half-an-hour slots. So they're going to speak for half an hour, do 15 minutes Q&A, everybody get a cup of tea, and then the next speaker will come on. And then that probably go until about 8 o'clock. And I said to people, if you want to bring your books, if you want to bring your podcast merch, just bring all of that down and just get your name out there, and let's start networking. Yeah. And let's see, because you'll find guests for your show down there. You'll find new people who want to listen to it because they like the subjects that you talk about. And you'll find that some people say, that's not for me. And some people say, oh, I absolutely love that. I'm all about that. I need more of that. And I think that's all it is, really. So let's do a combined one. That
sounds fantastic.
Instead of just cutting, let's eat all the flavours and let's see, what works for everybody else. So that's basically what we're doing. So I'm not organising it. Simon, the gentleman that I spoke to, is organising it for me. I've just reached out to the speakers and said, will you take a chance on me? I can't pay you. There's no money going to be made from it. Absolutely not. And if there was, then I will. I'll say, right, we'll split it. If we make £10, we'll split that £10 5 ways if we have to. Just take a chance on me, because I am sure that we will fill that room. And then let's take a chance on the next one. And eventually we will be able to say to speakers, we can pay you to come down, we can pay you to stay over. You've got to start somewhere, haven't you? So
absolutely.
That's what I said to him, let's just do that. And then another gent got in touch with me and said, I'm running a conference in Grimsby, and it is based around witnesses and witness accounts to whatever they saw. And I said, oh, I'm all about that. And he said, will you talk for me, Deb? And I said, yeah, no problem. I can't stay over, I can't afford it. I said, but Mark will bring me down in the car. We'll do the talk. I'll get something to eat, and then Mark will bring me back home. So I'm going to do that as well. But I'll make sure it goes out online and people can find it really easily. I'll probably do a video on YouTube about it so they can find where they're going.
Fantastic, yeah,
and just get as many people, and then Scotland and Box Hill.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I mean, I'm sure you've got people lining up to help out, but if you want me to come along, if you want me to speak, I'm absolutely happy to. I'll come along and record. I'll put it out to the community.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That sounds great.
Fantastic. I did say, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could find a way of people that can't make it could actually still watch it on the day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that is absolutely fantastic. I will take you up on that offer now.
Sounds great. Yeah, just send me the details.
It would, just to be able to get to the people, because I have a lot of disabled people as well. That are really
And also different mediums, different communities are on different platforms. You know, there's a community on YouTube who is absolutely not on the community that's on podcast in the podcast land, and vice versa. So I've found that you know, I've got my specific community is very, it's podcast based. They're on Spotify, they're on Google Play and all that. But absolutely, that sounds fantastic. And coming from Australia, there's not really that, there's no events or anything in Australia, so it's very exciting to get here.
We've got people coming from Spain just to visit on the day. Some of the European witnesses are going to come over. Whether they'll speak or not, I don't know, but just for them to be there, I think would be amazing. Natalia, I've met Natalia through the meetings and meeting up with people. She's found a wealth of reports in Romania, Slovakia, all the Baltic countries at the bottom. She's collected them for me. So she said, I want to just send them over to you, Deb, and then you can put them out on your channel, because she's a little bit shy. And I said to her, eventually you'll be putting them out on your own channel.
Go girl.
And then I said, will you translate mine? The ones that I've done, will you translate them? She went, yeah, not a problem.
That's
awesome. I said, well, that'd be amazing, because then we'd probably find some more witnesses, because nobody ever thinks of Sweden. Or it's not the first thing you jump to when you think of Bigfoot, is it? But they are reporting them, and it's genuinely ordinary people. And you think in Sweden, they live the nearest. It's very like Australia in all honesty. Your nearest neighbour could be a few hours away.
Yeah,
So they are in these isolated areas where we would be expecting a creature to be. So no wonder they're making the reports. It's just that no one's collecting them. People say, oh, I saw something in Germany. I'm not interested. If it's not Washington State or Oregon, I don't want to know. I say, I'm interested. You tell me everything. What was you doing beforehand? What happened during? What happened after? And they go, whew, crazy lady. And then I say, no, these other people, they tend to report them as Neanderthals. Yes. And I just think that's due to translation. I think they're trying to explain it looks like a caveman, and the word Neanderthal pops up on Google for them.
Absolutely.
So they get reported as Neanderthal reports, but there's hundreds of them. Yeah, awesome. And I would love to get all those people involved. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I just came back from Romania, actually. I celebrated my birthday there.
You lucky soul. Was you 21?
No. I was 26, actually. I went to the Hoya Baciu forest, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Yes, I have. What did it feel like?
It was actually, because I've never had a cryptid sighting myself. I've been out, I've seen some footprints, I've seen some bush rustling, but I've never seen a cryptid. But I've definitely had some more spiritual, paranormal experiences growing up, figures at the end of the bed, that sort of stuff. So I've always been quite hesitant to go anywhere spooky, ghosty, because I feel like I'm a bit sensitive to it. As silly as that sounds.
No, I agree. Exactly the same for me.
I much rather my monsters is flesh and blood, so I can run away from it, and it won't follow me home.
Yeah, same.
But I thought, I feel like I've grown a lot in this last year, and I've feeling a bit more comfortable around it. And I thought, you know what? It's my birthday. It's actually on Friday, the 13th of September, spooky day.
I got married on Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's so nice. And so I went to the forest, and I just thought, I'm going to spend the whole night there until can't open my eyes and I'm so tired.
Wow.
But it was actually very chill, very relaxing. Obviously, there's a lot of reporting of lights there, of voices. And there was some lights, and then I was like, okay, that looks weird. And you realize you can see Cluj-Napoca as the closest city. You can see it through the forest. Every now and then you'll get the sparkling of the city, and you're like, okay, that's
that could be
maybe something going on there. But very, very relaxing, surprisingly. So I think it could have just been the night, could have just been me. But I would absolutely love to go back. I didn't, but nothing weird there. Just a really nice time being completely
You said yourself that you saw things. Many of the witnesses say that. I wait until they're very comfortable with me, and then I say, has anything ever happened before in your past? And I tend to find that the same with the abductees, figures at the end of the bed, strange, dark, quick figures out the corner of your eye that you can't catch.
Yeah.
For me, it can be there. I can open my eyes and it's there.
I've had that too. Yeah. It's
terrifying.
absolutely horrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
So very similar kind of backgrounds, and other people say, no, I'm sensitive, or no, I'm a medium. And I say, I've started saying to people now, which one is it? Are you very good with animals? Are you sensitive? Do you work with energy? Or do you do like crystals and dowsing? And it tends to be one or the other. And I think, and I'm just going to put that out there and say it, maybe some of these sightings are not accidental. It might be that because your brain works a little bit differently, you might be picking up on something that your average normal human is not picking up on. So when you get that gut feeling to remove yourself from an area, I call that my animal brain. That's the bit of my brain that kept me alive when it was back then. And if it says to me, move, get out of this area now, then listen to it and get yourself out of there. But you tend to find that they'll have had paranormal encounters, or they'll have seen lights or something like that in the back. So it could be that they're very open-minded. You know, it could just be that they're quite open to things that are, not your average kind of thing. But you tend to find that. And I think that was one of the reasons where I've said to a few people, I am noticing a pattern in the people that are seeing them. And I really want to explore that and see, is it the person themselves that A, attracts the cryptid, or B, can pick up on them in some way, that kind of thing. So that's something I'm working on, about 500 things at the moment, but that is something that,
it's on the list.
Like you get hints, like you get little hints, and the universe gives me hints and nudges. You see, I'll see something and I'll see it over and over and over again. I think, right, Debbie, you need to take notice of that. So that's one of the hints that I'm getting consistently, is that these witnesses, when I speak to them, I can pick up on it now instantly in the phone call, and I think this is going to be another one. This is going to be another gent who says to me, well, actually, when I was younger, I did see dark things and things like that. I don't know the reason for it, Megan, but there definitely is that. There is that there. So I'm really interested in that kind of side of things. And
that gut feeling is so interesting, what you're talking about, because although I didn't feel it in, Europe's most haunted forest, I actually felt that at Box Hill when I was there. I was, and I mean, in the case of Romania, I was not by myself. I was with one other person. And in Box Hill, I was by myself. And I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I felt that sort of like, eek, I do not want to be here right now. And even though I'm like, no, film it, take photos, listen, everything else with me was saying, go, run.
Go, same. I was like that kind of Chase. As soon as I got out of the car, I thought, oh no, I don't want to put my feet on that ground. It is really weird, isn't it? And there was actually there's a lady stood next to me, Linda, and she said, I think she could see me starting to panic.
Right.
And she said to me, take a minute. And I said, no, it's not me, it's this place. It's something about this place that's really, I couldn't catch my breath. I felt like someone had the hand like that the entire time I was there. And I was trying so hard to relax because it was lovely, and I did forget about it. But what creeped me out was, I'll be honest, we were right next to the cafe. There were people everywhere. It was a really hot summer's day, so there was people playing football. They had the barbecues out. It was really lovely. Families everywhere. And we were not in a deep bit of the forest by any means at all, because I can't walk far. We were probably only about 20 feet from the cars. And I kept seeing two ladies on that side of me looking over my shoulder. But they weren't doing it together. They were doing it separately. So I presumed people were walking behind me. And then one of them, about an hour in, turned to the other one and said, did you see that then? And she went, yeah, but it's got to be a person, hasn't it? And I just looked at him and she said, something keeps skirting around the back. Well, it probably was a person,
right? But
it was just strange that they both picked up on it at the same time. And I thought, they're seeing something there and they're not saying what they're seeing. And I thought, I'm just still have a conversation. So I had like half an ear on what they were talking about while they were talking. And she said, it's so easy that something could be moving around us and you just dismiss it. It's nothing. She said, but I keep catching it out the corner of my eye. And it was that what got me interested. And I said, are you seeing it full on? She went, no, it's always out the corner of my eye and I just can't catch it properly. And then the other lady said, yeah, it's the same for me. So I just thought maybe they're sensitive and they've just not said you know, that they're sensitive, but they seem to be picking up on something at the time. It's just a strange coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's something about that place. I don't know, something, it intrigues me and it scares me at the same time.
Yeah.
It feels very, very ancient, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Feels, and I don't know if it's just like a respect because you're in an area that's must have been at one point very important to us, or we would not have built that ring. And they reckon that there've been people down there since, I think it's 49 AD, something like that. I'll double check on it, but it's about 800 years ago, where the first reports of these like hairy men were starting to be written down. So what have they seen? What is it that set that tale off? Scotland's a good example of that. There's an old text when the Gauls came over around about the 4th century. They tried to take over Scotland, and probably it was called Birmingham then. So we're looking at like the Weem area, Aberfeldy, along the Tay River.
Okay.
So the Gauls come over, and they're obviously journaling as they're there, because, you know, all generals had a journal. They had a scholar, didn't they, that journaled. Mm-hmm. And it says in it that they couldn't take Birmingham because of the satyrs that were described as hairy ape men that stole fish from nets, would take maidens from the village for their own, and were only scared of fire. And it's actually written in this text, and it speaks about the Gaul trying to set fire to the fields to keep these satyrs away. But eventually everything's burned, and they just wait for it to go out, and then they cross the field and take the sheep and the fish again.
I mean, not the best plan.
Not the best plan, but they actually went back to Dundee and said, we cannot take over that land. And they went back to Gaul. Wow. So why is that not in my history at school?
Yes.
Why do I not know this? And the reports are still coming out of that area to this day. And you think, have they always been there? Have we always known about them? I mean, they've just been whitewashed out of history for you know, for whatever reason. I don't know. But there's something about the very old ancient places that seem to have an effect on cryptids in one sense of the word, that you seem to notice in there more than in other places. And I don't know if it's just because it's out in the wilds. It could just be that.
Yeah.
It could be me reading too much into it. But there just seems to be a pattern of type. And when you look at the area, if I was wild, that's where I would be. You've got the salmon running. You've got deer. You've got 4 species of deer up there. There's so much food up there, so much cover. Not so much in the forestry areas where they're cutting for the logging. You've got to find now mixed wood. It's really hard to find a mixed wood in Scotland. But the land is that ancient that I just wonder if it's something to do with that. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe one day I'll know. But for now, I don't. I'm not got a clue.
Yeah, interesting. Oh, yeah, I mean, I won't hold you up much longer if you have to run off or anything like that.
I'm going to get a cup of tea in a minute. I might have to make my tea. Oh, it's 25. I didn't realise we'd been
we're just having the best time.
Well, we can always chat again.
I'll leave you to it, and I'm sure we can chat again. Send me through details of the event and the membership.
I'll send everything. Can you give me the name of your podcast and a link to it in email, and I'll make sure that I include it in the video so people can find you.
Certainly. I do warn you, it is Australian humour. I have been told it can be a bit crass.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
There is some swearing.
Do you know, I've got to be honest. I do like the Australians and the New Zealand because they just say it how it is. There's no messing about. They just say it, and you know, and you just think, well, I can work with that. I can work with that all day long, you know. Yeah. British humour's not that great either. I don't think we go down very well in America. I've cracked some jokes when I've been on podcasts, and it's just gone right over.
Yeah, I've had to readdress how my jokes land in this culture. I have to relearn how to be funny.
It's been absolutely fantastic meeting you. It really has. Yeah. So I will definitely send all that over, and if anyone's listening out there, you will find the link to Megan's podcast in the description below. And if you can't find it, just email me, and I'll send it over to you.
Yes, all right. And everyone listening from my side, I will share all of Debbie's links and important things, so you can find that on our Facebook and on our website.
Okay, so thank you very much, sweetheart. It's been absolutely wonderful.
That's so good. I'm sure I'll talk to you again.
Yeah, speak soon.
Enjoy your tea. Bye.